Well, good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? If you haven't, seen my previous video, just the introduction on a series I'm trying to tackle about, it all falls under the category of shop safety, but mainly we're going to talk about dust and dust collection. And I thought the best place to start would be after some cabinets are getting ready to get put on the truck, and kind of we're in the aftermath of that, and just kind of go over starting from the most simple thing, like a broom and a dustpan, and maybe some sweeping compound. And working our way up to the more complex systems like single and double stage dust collectors, but I thought that's a good place to start, because I'm just a working stiff. This is my shop. It's not like a shop like some of the guys that I follow on YouTube, where everything's nice and neat, and the shop drawers are dovetailed and all that stuff. I wish I had the time to do that, but I'm not sponsored, other than by my family. But I think the biggest thing right off the bat is just staying picked up as much as you can. I have a limited amount of space, so it's a constant fight between material and machines and mess and trying to figure out where I am in the process, and things don't always work out. But the number one thing is you've got to keep your lungs protected. And I don't say that as coming from kind of finger pointing, you need to do this and that and the other thing, otherwise, I'm saying that as a guy that's coming up on 40 years in the business, in the trades, and has been in buildings, 150-year-old buildings that have coal dust, and you walk out at the end of the day and you're black, even with respirators. And by and large, employers, even though they want to tell their insurance companies that they're they have a safety program, they don't want to spend any more money than they have to. And that's not all companies. I was with different companies, and one took it really seriously, and they actually gave us respirators and whatnot. And the other, we were lucky. They'd give us 2 dust masks and tell us that was our, I don't even know if they were N95s, but and they'd say those are your masks for the month. And we all know that one big job with a lot of dust, and you can trash both of them. So, what are we supposed to do? Reuse them? And that's really kind of the first thing right off the bat is, if you have a disposable dust mask, unless you're really, really light duty, if you can see the particulate out on it, it's probably done. Don't get me wrong, something is better than nothing. I'm certainly not telling you if your mask is done and that's the only thing you have, you just kind of have to weigh that. But getting back to, a broom and a dustpan, getting things picked up, getting the dust under control, is a big deal. Daily, You know, contamination, whether it's a job site or a shop, is a really big deal. And the more machines that you have and the faster they turn, obviously most of the machines for woodworking are motorized and they have a circular motion. So you're gonna fill a room full of sawdust real quick. Let's take a look at different kinds of sawdust, and let's talk about. And you can see it over here on the intakes here. This being a sander, and the larger bits are from the gum that I use to clear the abrasive. But you can see this fine dust. And especially on a sander, even on a saw, this fine dust, it actually has a bit of an electric charge to it. Static electricity, I'm guessing. But that's not even the finest dust that you can generate. You can generate dust that you can't even see. And that is really, that's really bad stuff, because that gets into your lungs real fast, and it's just not good. And it tends to collect everywhere. If you make it airborne, and if I fill this shop with a cloud like that, it's gonna settle everywhere. Anyway, let's move on to the saw, a saw. The radial arm's probably pretty much gonna be like this. You have this kind of dust that's sort of a mixture of chips and dust and a finer dust. I don't think it makes a dust quite like the sanders do per se, but it does make a dust that we can't see. If you look at let's look at this. You can see that in there. Yeah, you can see that coming off the light there. And look at it hanging in the air. So if you look back at this, I've made a shroud, and it doesn't catch everything. It catches a great deal. That's in a wood shop, that is kind of the gamut of sawdust that's generated. Some like a handheld planer or a jointer or anything like that is going to make more chip oriented type things, and the sawdust will be a lot more, it'll be large. So, that's kind of a look at the dust that a wood shop is going to generate. Now, this 2x72 sander here generates sawdust, because this is what I rough shape when I'm making a bunch of handles. This is what rough shapes the blanks into rough handles. And using using a 36 open coat ceramic belt for hogging off material. You can also use these for metal. Metal is, in some ways, I think, worse. It's all bad. So I don't know if you can put one is worse than the other. Breathing it is bad. And you really need to consistently, you're not going to get it all done in one day. You know, I still have a lot of work to do. I even bought, a couple of years ago, Had this single stage, the motor blow out on it, and I had to, I have since repaired it, but at the time I really didn't have any alternatives, and I went ahead and bought a 3 horsepower double stage, which has really helped a lot in here. Work has been going on for the past 3 or 4 days, pretty much straight in here, and there's dust here, but I'm not working in an environment where there's a constant cloud hanging over. I have a collection at the machines, and I've got an air filtration, an ambient air filtration system, which I actually need to buy a couple more and hang them in here. But again, you can't get it all done. It's really expensive. Machinery in the last couple of years has gone up, and it's not easy to have a comprehensive dust collection system. If you're in a home type situation, if you've got your shop in your basement, I would step back. If you don't really have anything in place, I would step back and look at what you got. Take an inventory of your machinery, just get it locked into your head. How many RPMs are these machines turning? You can take an angle grinder with a sanding wheel on it, and I can, in about 10 minutes, I can fill this whole entire shop with dust, a giant cloud of dust, because the thing is turning 3,500 RPMs. And so it is really important to look at the material you're working, understand the material you're working with. What kind of process are you going to put on that? What are you going to be doing? You know when you have in your head what you're making, but you need to also have in your head the type of mess you're going to make. And even on job sites, a shop vac is just a must. At the minimum, a shop vac. I have a HEPA, a fine HEPA that has fleece bags and then a folded filter on it's a 2-stage filter system, and I really couldn't live without it in the shop here and on people's on my job sites. It helps me stay really clean. But even with a shop vac, you're looking at exhaust on the motor. Are you really picking up the mess? Is the exhaust shooting an amount of, is it returning it into the air? I think by and large, unless you have some sort of bag on the inside of your shop vac, the answer is yes. Oneida makes these cyclones that you can actually turn your shop vac into a 2-stage vacuum system. If you put a bag on the shop vac, then that acts as a filter, so you're expelling less dust into your work environment, and all of the heavier stuff goes in the cyclone and drops in a separate bucket. And they're really quite handy. I have that hooked up to the radial arm, the shroud on the radial arm, and then I have the rest of the radial arm is hooked into the dust collection system. So broom and dustpan, shop vac, even something as simple as a box fan. If you have a limited space, always try to at least open the door and get a positive airflow. I don't know if it would be positive or negative, but get an airflow out the door if you can, at the minimum. Take it outside. Sometimes it's just as simple, if you're outside, don't set your table saw up to where the stuff is, work with the wind and have the sawdust being blown away. You can set a fan up depending on what you're doing. But by and large, on job sites, inside people's houses, and even here, I'm trying to collect the dust as it's coming off the machine. And I always did that even before I had the big machines, the bigger machines. I mean, these dust collection systems can get as large as a big cyclone, 50 feet in the air or taller, standing outside with enormous motors. So it's endless, the stuff that you can get for dust collection, but it depends on the size of the operation as well. This duplicating lathe over here that I'm working on rehabbing. We get back over here to the business end of this, and look at these cutters. So I've got 4 cutters that are being powered by a pair. Those are 5 horsepower electric motors. This is going to need its own dust collection system. And I'm probably going to end up enclosing this in some sort of temporary room. But that's the kind of mindset you have to get into. You know, I have a tool. Let's see. Hopefully I haven't screwed this up. I think we're okay. Get in that mindset of, I'm making a mess, where's it gonna go? And my wife will look at this and laugh her head off because, you know, I'm a messy guy. And honestly, I've also breathed my share of bad stuff. The best thing you can do though is if you find yourself in a situation that you're not comfortable and you feel like it's dangerous, I don't really care if you're at work, get out of it. If you know that you're in a situation where there's contamination, meaning sawdust, and we're not talking nuclear. Of course, get out if it's nuclear contamination. But if there's a cloud of dirt or sawdust or drywall dust and you have zero protection, or you have protection that isn't working, and your spidey sense goes off and you're taking on bad stuff, get out of there. It's not your fault. It's the boss's fault for not protecting you. And you know, sometimes it comes down to having your own PPE. A respirator is a good thing, and we'll cover respirators and stuff. This is more just speaking to mindset and recognizing what's coming off of these machines and how it can affect you. And I mean, even my dad, he's a dentist. Even doctors aren't exempt. My dad ground acrylic and porcelain and plaster for years and years and years without a mask. He ended up dying of pulmonary fibrosis, which basically means that your lungs they just basically quit working, and it's basically like suffocating. So the last year or so of his life was not very good. He was on oxygen, and then it got to a point where when he was in the hospital, they couldn't give him enough oxygen to oxygenate his blood, and so that was pretty much the end of that. And I certainly haven't had a perfect career as far as what has gone into my lungs, but I think I've definitely tried to control it. And look at the space that you're in, look at your machines. Heck, go do a test. If you're worried about something, and if what you're gonna do, say you have a plan and you've got a vacuum cleaner and a box fan and you're doing the best you can, go get some black poster board or some construction paper and just place it in areas around your shop and test it out. Go for 5 minutes, shut it down, see where you're going, see what's happening. If it doesn't look right, it's probably not right. But just be aware, have that awareness, because it's not only your lungs. If you're working with other people, it's their lungs. On a job site, if you're just letting it fly, you're not only affecting yourself, you're affecting the electrician and the plumber and vice versa. So just get into the mindset and let's keep the ideas going on this. If anybody has something to add, throw it in the comments. If there's something you want covered, throw it in the comments. There's no way to do this without, I'm gonna try not to get scientific because that's not really my bag. All I have is experience of 35 years making messes and trying to keep them under control. I don't calculate CFM. There are lots of books out there on shop dust collection basics. One thing I would definitely say is if you're doing wood and metal, keep your collection systems separate. Don't be grinding and throwing your sparks and whatnot into your sawdust pipes. Keep those separate. That's why I have a 2x32 at the house for all my sharpening. I try to stay away from metal grinding here in this wood and sawdust environment. So I hope this helps. Let's work on this together. It's gonna be long, and what I'm gonna try to do is make these segments shorter and more digestible. I don't know if that's gonna happen because there's just a lot to talk about. I think we're going to head next to just basic things that you can do without spending a lot of money. You can, how to get your shop vac dialed in to where you're actually doing some good. Maybe even some techniques on how to pull something off of the material as it's coming off of the material instead of just letting it fly. The best fan that you can buy, I'd buy it. The most powerful fan that you can buy. I even have a 4-foot commercial fan that sometimes, if I'm getting into a lot of axe handles and it's a nice day, I'll open this and I'll set that fan here and I'll just create a massive wind blowing out of the shop. How to turn a box fan into a air filtration system, an ambient air filtration system. You can take furnace filters and a box fan like this and start filtering the air in your shop. And it's economical. There's plenty of videos on YouTube that guys have plans, ready-made plans for a fan, that Lasco fan that you get. I think I got this at Lowe's. I don't know if Home Depot sells them, but I got this fan at Lowe's. If you're doing a lot of dust, two or three of those in your shop, and you're starting to control the smaller bits of sawdust, and it's definitely a good thing. After that, I'll start getting into dust collectors and machinery. My dust collection system is about halfway there. I'm at the point now where I need to drop the money for a big duct system, and it's gonna be expensive. And honestly, I just don't have the money for it right now. So I'm running 3 4-inch hoses off of, with blast gates off of the big machine. And it's not the most efficient thing in the world, but it's holding its own. But I'm gonna have to get that addressed at some point. But I'm probably looking at about $2 or $3 grand in pipe, plus installing it. So some of the bigger machines are gonna force my hand. I won't, when I start, like I said, when I start firing up this duplicating lathe, I'm telling you, it's gonna be something. It's gonna be a lot of noise, hearing protection, eye protection, breathing protection. It all works together just to keep you safe in the shop or on the job. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you sat through all of this, thank you very much. Thank you for subscribing. If you're just new to the channel and you're passing through, give it a like and a subscribe. And what harm could that do? Helps us, might help you. Johnny Arnett, it's gonna be, we're on it for a long haul. Go check out Johnny Arnett's channel. He has a video out there about, it's kind of what inspired all of this. He and I are kind of working together on this series about his mistake in his shop that he made, and he got ill from all of the mess that he made. So we're trying to, if one person gets helped from anything on this, it's worth it. All of you people that know more than me, you're welcome to comment, but be nice. You know, we all come from a point of reference, and if you want to help this in a nice way and offer your experience and what you've experienced that's been helpful to you, please leave it in the comments. However, if you're going to come from a point of superior knowledge and you feel like you have to kick down on this video, please move along and go to the next video, because I'll just take your comment down. Anyway, I think that covers it. I hope everybody's doing well, and I'll see you on the next one.